Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Side Splitters. My name is Lyle.
You fucker. My name is Andy.
And our goal this night is to leave you in stitches. How are you, good sir?
I've been laughing at this damn picture
Uh-huh.
for like an hour now.
Yeah.
And you had to fucking shove it in my face right at go time.
Right before we start recording, Andy says, I will not be introducing myself as Cumbox this week. Don't worry about it. I'm like, all right, no problem. I have this whole thing queued up to just make him laugh. That's my new mission, man. My new mission every week is to make you laugh as soon as we start.
Oh my god. Alright, not if I get there first.
Well, fair enough. So this week, well, before we get into anything, first things first, we have to talk about something real quick. Coming up is the anniversary of Side Splitters. And me and Andy are extremely excited about it, or at least I am. So with that comes a special stream that me and Andy are going to do. Also Fresco. It's going to be July 15th. We've talked about it before, in case you haven't heard. It's a Saturday. You can go to twitch.tv/sidesplitters to watch it. That's pretty much it.
Concise, short, sweet, to the point. I love it. It's everything you're not.
I mean, I am kind of short.
It's okay. Just less to love.
Well, I make up for that in a horizontal area.
I mean, I bet. When you come home from a hard day's worth of work and you spill out of your clothes.
Anyway, we still have not decided on a time or game schedule.
No, not at all. Yeah, not really sure how you wanted to do that. I imagine you want to do it on PC.
Obviously.
Obviously. All I would have to do is take a look at your Steam library.
Well, the games isn't so important as much as the time is right now, Andy. We could talk the games off mic, you know. The time is kind of important right now, though.
Oh, I mean, how about, since we're so used to doing things around this time anyway, just do like 7?
No! Are you insane?
Maybe?
I was thinking earlier. It's a Saturday. No one has to work.
Oh, 1.
Fine. 1 o'clock is when we will start.
It's pretty arbitrary. We'll go with 1.
1 o'clock is when we will start. We may break for food at some point. In which case, we can come back and eat on stream if you want. That's up to you guys entirely.
And if anybody wants to swat us, we could use the company.
No, sir. Not cool. Not cool, bro.
We have lazy listeners. That won't happen.
Yeah. Most of them probably don't even know what swatting is, and we're not going to explain it. So, speaking of streaming, though, there is so once again Saturday, July 15th, 1 p.m. Me,
15th.
Yeah, me, Andy, Fresco, will all be there. It'll be a blast. It'll
Did you bring your wife?
It'll go. She will be busy. It'll go until we say so. So that being said, streaming. SGDQ is happening as we speak.
That doesn't spell anything.
It does not. For those that are not familiar with this, it stands for Summer Games Done Quick. We've talked about Awesome Games Done Quick before, which is pretty much the same thing. Every 6 months, give or take, this community gets together where a bunch of streamers speedrun video games in a marathon-style fashion. They will go from Sunday to Sunday, possibly longer. If it happens to spill into Monday, that's fine. And it's just 24/7 of people speedrunning all kind of video games, from your old ones to your new ones to your good ones to your bad ones. And it's just a lot of fun, and it's all done in the name of charity. Awesome Games Done Quick, which is done around January, is done for the Prevent Cancer Foundation, where Summer Games Done Quick? Is that what I said? Yeah, Summer Games Done Quick is done in the name of Doctors Without Borders, which is a charity, so you can get to third world countries and stuff like that, and get medical help to those types of people and all that. Whatever.
What do you mean,
It's
those people?
awesome, so you can watch streams and watch people speedrun all the awesome video games all in one nice little easy spot to find them. It's freaking amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny that, like, that kind of grew into, like, its own culture thing, just watching people play video games quickly.
Yeah. I mean, just watching people play video games in general kind of grew into its own culture, to be honest. For me, it has almost, no, I'm not going to say almost, it is part of something that has completely replaced television. I no longer watch television. I have cable at my house. My wife watches it. I do not. Every once in a great while, I'll go in the living room, watch something with her. If we have guests over, they want to watch something, I'll watch something with them or whatever. But most of the time, I'm in my computer room, and I'll watch something on my computer or something like that. And that's that.
Yeah, it's been years for me. Like, I haven't had television when I moved into this apartment. Like, when I saw what cable packages and stuff were going for, and I realized just how many hours I would have to work in order to maintain an apartment, I'm just like, no, pass. I'll just take the internet, thank you very much. As long as I have that, I'll have all the videos that I need. And you know what? I haven't looked back. Although it's over the years, it's just been getting more and more expensive. But yeah, to the speedrun thing, I had to laugh because I think that kind of plays off of when you're kids, because I don't know how it was for you, but I remember being a kid and sometimes you would go over a person's house that only had a one-player game, so you didn't really have a whole lot of options as far as like people being able to play at the same time. So we would just like take turns, and while we're taking turns, we're just like watching the other person play, and it's just like, oh, it becomes an interactive experience. Like, oh man, I hope he jumps up and hits that. Yeah, he got it. Screw that enemy.
Yeah.
Or like, oh man, glitch season. No.
Yeah, and it's something to be said about the camaraderie that happens when it doesn't matter who actually does the deed, but as long as someone progresses a little further than the last person did, both of you are extremely excited. You're jumping up and high-fiving each other. Maybe not that quite excited, but I remember as a kid playing games such as Super Metroid for the first time, and I was playing with my older brother and one of my uncles. Um, and the three of us would sit around and we would kind of pass the controller around depending on, just who wanted to play at the moment, who didn't want to play at the moment, who, had to use the bathroom or whatever, because this was a marathon of gaming. And we would just play this game, and we would say we would find little niche catchphrases of our own throughout, these runs and marathon sessions of gaming. Like, we'd get to a new area that none of us, especially in Super Metroid, none of us have seen yet, and we would just shout, "Undiscovered!" and just get all excited about it or whatever. And it was just something that the three of us together were exploring this world of Super Metroid and all that, and that was awesome. And then years later, I did it again with another uncle and my older brother with Metal Gear Solid and that series. That was a ton of fun. I mean, we were just reminiscing about it the other day, where we were up till 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and my aunt, hi Rita, would get pissed off at us because we were screaming at the top of our lungs, "Snake!" So that's a lot of fun, and yeah, it's like you said, it's neat to see nowadays, years later, we have the internet where you can watch people play video games. And the same kind of camaraderie still happens, like, especially with speedrunning. Someone gets a new world record. You get kind of excited. You get a little hype going, you know what I mean? It's like, holy shit, he's actually going to do it. He did it!
But you feel so bad for some people when they like, attempt to speed run and they fail. And it's just like, oh, like, somebody, like, he doesn't have the timing just right and gets hit by an enemy that knocks him into oblivion, and he wastes so many seconds on the respawn and everything like that. And you're just like, no, not like this.
Let me tell you something. This is going to sound stupid to everyone else, but there is this one guy I watch, I wouldn't say religiously, but whenever I have a few minutes and I don't have long enough to play a video game, but I have long enough to watch one, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like, okay, so all the video games I would play would require some load up time and all that stuff, and I really have to get into it, whatever, and I don't really want to play for like 5, 10, 15 minutes. But, there's this guy I watch on Twitch, his name is Arcus87, he's awesome streamer. The guy reminds me of Bob Ross, but for speedrunning. It's incredible. Anyway, he used to play Ninja Gaiden, has the world record in that, beat his own record, and now has the world record still in that. Um, and just kind of got bored after playing it for like a year straight. Now he plays the original Super Mario Brothers. So that is neat because it's literally a 12-minute run. So assuming
Wow.
he finishes a run, at most it'll take about 12 minutes. So I can literally, sit down for a couple minutes and watch this guy go. But there are times where he is on pace to beat his record or to get a new world record or something along those lines, because he doesn't have the world record in Super Mario Brothers. So if he gets a new personal best or by chance happens to be on pace for the world record or something like that, you're kind of on the edge of your seat watching this thing, and it's just like, oh my god, this is going to do it. And like every difficult part of the run that you only know is difficult because he told you, because no, you're not doing this.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Like he says it's difficult, therefore it must be difficult. So you're like, oh god, is he going to pass it? He did! He passed it! Yes! And like you start typing in chat like, guys, he did it! This is the run, guys! So you're watching it and everything, you're kind of on the edge of your seat, and then he just gets hit by that one Goomba, and you're like, oh no, your gut just sinks, you fall into your chair, and you're just like, well, again? But yeah, there's a lot of emotions into watching it and everything. At least for me, it's exciting to watch. It's kind of like watching sports.
Yeah, I also have been noticing a couple things came out of Summer Games Done Quick as far as like Twitch fails, because I watch the one YouTube channel, Internet Fails, and it has Twitch fails. So it's like whenever anybody does anything on the stream and it's just like they fail at it, it's on there. And like a couple of them were kind of funny. Like, one guy was doing a run and then all of a sudden like the computer stopped, like he lost signal. And like, oh no. And then there was another guy that was reading donations, and he's like, oh, $50, thanks to I Love Seaman.
Yeah, the chat is part of the charm with the Games Done Quick marathon. The
Yeah.
chat and the chat community as a whole, because you have the chat, which is very difficult to see because of how fast it goes. But if you're able to catch some glimpses of stuff, and you might see people spamming reset as soon as someone messes up, just to be mean, honestly.
Yeah.
Or
Trolls.
maybe right, trolls. Maybe someone like the announcer or the commentator or whatever will say, "Oh, nice one," and then everyone in the chat will just spam "nice one" with all kind of funny emotes or whatever. And then you also have the people donating are the people watching. Therefore, the people watching see the chat. They know the chat, quote unquote, meta. So they will say things in comments such as like, I am C-Man or something. Or I love C-Man. But anyway, like that's a whole other thing that's pretty awesome. I forget where I was going with this.
Well, now I remember a while back you were telling me that you wanted to try to speedrun anything. Have you made any headway there?
I did, and I remember now. So real quick, another great thing is when you said that the fails, the Twitch fails and all that. There's
Yeah.
also awesome compilation videos that will come out of GDQs because of the cringiest moments. Just those moments that are just like, oh, I feel bad for the people in the room right now because I can only imagine how embarrassing this is. There was one time where this one guy, usually it's a couch and then it's a seat, and people on the seat will play, and the couch are like commentators that also happen to be familiar with the game that's being ran or whatever. For some reason, this one time, this guy was running this game. Can't remember what game it was. And this guy next to him on the couch had no idea how this game worked. So instead of commentating on it and giving his professional opinion on it, he had 1,000,010 questions. And like they weren't even good questions. And by the end of it, they became insulting questions. Like not only to the game developers, but to the runner himself. Like, oh, that was dumb. Why'd you do that? Like, super
Wow.
insulting. And it's just like, what are you doing, dude? And at one point, the guy just kind of pauses the game, looks over at him, and is just like, could you just be quiet for the rest of the time you're here? That'd be great.
Wow. Oh, that is pretty bad.
And you can just
Like,
feel it.
stop being an ass.
You can just feel the tenseness, and it's just the dude was quiet too. And then there was another time where, oh, this one's the best. This was actually AGDQ of last January. Super Metroid 4-way race. You know I was watching it. That's my jam.
Yeah.
So I'm watching it, and every time it was a 100% speed run, which means you have to collect every single item in the game. Every time you collect an item, there's a little fanfare that happens. So every time this fanfare happened, the audience behind the runners, and it was like one of the last runs, so the room was packed. So the audience behind the runners was mimicking the fanfare as Wario. So it was just wah 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 wah. And it was legit like every 10 seconds, because like I said, 100% run. So at one point, someone on the couch just turns around and goes, "Yeah, that's not funny anymore. And if you guys can go play in traffic, that'd be great."
Wow.
And immediately the announcer comes on, and he's just like, "Yeah, we are not going to condone that kind of behavior, so don't do that. On to donations." Just amazing. Like some of those things, you got to keep in mind. These are a whole area full of nerds that are just around each other for 7 days straight. These people get paid to play video games on camera, live, which means they have little to no social life.
Yeah, no.
Because they're putting in like 50 hours a week, easily. So they don't have much of a social life, if any, aside from people that they talk to on the computer. So now they're being forced to interact with, literally hundreds of other people that are just like them. So there gets to be a little bit of tension build up and everything. It's hysterical. Anyway.
I wanted to be a video game streamer so bad, but
I still do.
I could never devote the time to doing it.
Exactly. You can't. You just can't. That being said, I have made some headway. I took inspiration from the guy I was talking about earlier, Arcus, and tried speedrunning Ninja Gaiden myself. And I have completed runs.
Really?
I did not time them because they were full of failures. But with moving and everything, I kind of lost track of being able to do it consistently. So I'm extremely out of practice now. But I'm probably going to take a day where I'm going to stream me trying to complete a run.
Okay.
And hopefully by the end of the stream, I will do it. And by take a day, I'm talking, I want at least an 8-hour stream to happen of me just going at it the whole time. Because I'm thinking 8 to 12 hours, generally enough time to be able to learn this game. Because I already know the route. I know the route I'm supposed to take. I know what I'm supposed to do. It's just executing it properly. So I'm thinking within 8 hours, I should be able to get that not only more than once, but hopefully be able to put up some sort of good numbers in terms of times and what have you. So
yeah, and not die consecutively to the point where you break your keyboard in half. And
I have controllers.
don't break that in half either.
Yeah, that's another thing, is finding the perfect controller to use, because I have the Xbox 360 wired controller for my PC. Okay? And then I have a Steam controller for my PC. And I have a PC controller for my PC, which is made by Mad Catz, I think. Mad Catz or Logitech, one of the two. And then I also have
PC controller, also a mouse.
If you want to, man, a controller. You know what a controller is? Why you gotta say things? Shut up. I also have the Nintendo Switch Pro controller, which is connected Bluetooth and does work with emulators, so it would work for Ninja Gaiden. Which is a whole nother thing. Because it's an emulator, I can't do some of the advanced strategies, because some of them can tend to be frame perfect or, only have a few frame window. What that means, a frame is 1/60th of a second. So if it's frame perfect, that means you have 1/60th of a second to pull something off and hit the perfect button combination in that one frame window. If it's a couple frame windows, you have a couple 60ths of a second. So because of the delay on an emulator, those are going to be either impossible, well, not impossible, but next to impossible, and if I do figure out how to do it with a delay, if I ever go to play it on a real system, which is the only way that it'll count towards any kind of world records, I will have to relearn it again because I'll be so used to the visual cues from the emulator. If any of that makes sense. I don't know. Anyway, so
No,
what's
it does.
right? So what's sucky about the Switch Pro controller is that it's Bluetooth. So there are sometimes a delay in that, as well as the emulation delay. So the delay can get out of hand with that thing sometimes. But that is honestly the most comfortable controller for playing the game, which sucks. So until Microsoft goes, okay guys, we're going to play nice and we can use Nintendo Switch controllers on a computer now for Windows, then, I have to do it that way. Because as soon as they do that, then I can download a driver and just plug it in wired and everything will be fine. So until that happens, I am stuck with the Microsoft Xbox 360 controller. And I say stuck because the D-pad is atrocious on this thing.
Yeah, it got better on the Xbox One, but yeah,
It got
it's still
better,
not the
but
best.
it's still not the best, and I'm not willing to spend that much money on a controller for my computer when I have 6 other controllers.
No, you have a point. You have a
Mhm.
point. But what about like some of those oddball controllers that came out over the years, like the Resident Evil Chainsaw controller, or you know, the one that was shit. What was that? It was one that came out for like one of the Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball things. It was like a bikini bust or something like that.
I don't know that one. Have you ever seen this bad boy? Hold on, I'm pulling up an image for you now, and we are sharing screens. This is the Steam controller.
I have seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty neat. The only downside is, again, the D-pad. It doesn't really exist. It's just kind of a touchpad with, 4 directional inputs.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for old school games and like precise inputs and stuff like that, so I can't use it. But I do have one, and they are nice for more modern gaming, but not for old school gaming. But anyway,
It's just weird. It feels weird having the face buttons down by the thumb.
eh, it's not so bad for me. I like it. I think it's neat. Like I said, it works for some games. It's great for first person shooters. Anyway, this isn't an advertisement for Steam controllers.
I mean, it could be.
So SGDQ is happening. Go watch it right now. It is at twitch.tv/Games Done Quick. I'm sure. Yeah, Games Done Quick. Right now they are currently running Chrono Trigger.
Ooh.
So there's that.
I don't think I ever finished that game.
Really? Oh, it's a great game. I love Chrono Trigger. That's an SNES RPG for anyone that's interested. It's one that for some reason is not on the SNES Classic, although a lot will argue that it should be. And obviously it's live now, which means it's not going to be live when this gets released. So feel free to go on twitch.tv/GamesDoneQuick, check out the rods and everything. I know I'm really kind of hyping, advertising the hell out of this, but I really like when they do this. So the more people that go there and check everything out, the longer it's going to exist for, the longer I'll be happy. So there's still a Super Metroid race coming up. It's low percent ice race, which is a weird category, but really fun to watch. It's when like they have to only collect so many items, but they also have to get the ice gun, which it's weird. It's really weird, but it's fun. Super Mario 64 is coming up. Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. Final Fantasy 7 is happening. Metroid Fusion, all kind of stuff. Oh, this one's really neat. A Super Mario series warpless relay race. So they're taking Mario 1, 2, yeah, they're taking Mario 1, 2, and 3 and doing a relay race where every time you finish one, you pass the controllers to the next person, they have to do 2, and then they finish 2, and they pass the controller to the next person, they have to do 3. I'm guessing it's only the 3 games. I don't know. There's a lot of runners here for this listed, so it could be either that it's more than 3, it could also be that it's more than 2 teams. So either way, it sounds like it's going to be awesome. And it's warpless, so they're not allowed to use like warp pipes and whistle in Super Mario 3. That's going to be really cool.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Shit, I don't think I haven't actually touched base back with the Mario series in quite some time. Like I played it a lot when I was a kid, but I just never went back to it. And there's a lot of nostalgia there. I don't know. It's like that weird relative that you're like, oh yeah, I used to have a lot of fun when I had a weird attention span.
All right. Yeah, there's also going to be Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Looks like no Ocarina of Time this year, which is good because that game's terrible. So there's that.
Yeah, there's that. I mean, I don't have a lot of love for the series either, but even I can, say that you're probably the oddball at hating that game.
Whatever. Kingdom Hearts 2 is happening. Star Wars Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast, X-Men Mutant Apocalypse, all kind of fun stuff. Anyway, go check it out. Like I said, twitch.tv/GamesDoneQuick. And don't forget, July 15th, Saturday, twitch.tv/SideSplitters.
Shameless plugging and all.
Get ready for that.
Watch us do something quickly, like probably give up.
I swear you guys only have to deal with one more week of us advertising that because then it's here. And maybe I'll even attempt a Ninja Gaiden run while we're streaming.
Yeah, I'll watch you fail miserably at that before I get my sea legs going again.
Yeah, that could be fun because we can play. I can play that and have you and Fresco just make fun of me the whole time.
Literally, all right, how about this?
To the point of me ready to break a controller over one of your faces.
All right, I got this. We're gonna do 3-headed Ninja Gaiden. One of us controls the left and right. One of us controls the jump. One of us controls the weapon.
No. just no. There are some times in that run where you have to do what is known as a slash cancel, and that requires you to, while in the air, press down and the attack button simultaneously. Not hold down and press the attack button. That's a completely different thing. Simultaneously, you have to hit both of the buttons at the exact same time. And that will make you slash and cancel it at the same time. So you can repeatedly slash in the air as many times as your fingers can match the buttons. That's required for beating the 2 final bosses. And doing it once is also required for doing a normal slash in the air when you have the spin slash item equipped. So you don't use Ninpo that you're trying to reserve for later activities in the game.
What the fuck you just called it?
Anyway. So Andy wanted to talk about something non-video game related today, believe it or not.
Believe it or not, I'm the voice of reason here.
He wanted to talk about a weird conversation he had recently.
Yeah, so, alright, every once in a while when I go to work, I have a lovely and fun conversation with my fiance, and the one that we had this morning...
I'm going to stop you right there. When you say when you go to work, are you having that conversation on the way into work?
Yes.
Okay, continue. On the phone, I'd imagine.
On the phone, yeah.
While driving?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because my car is Bluetooth.
There you go. Now no one can criticize you. Continue.
Okay. So we got in this conversation, and I had to talk her down from being a vegan, because she was telling me how she was looking up stuff for, like, the wedding and everything like that, and you know how when you go looking for something on the internet, you start going down these rabbit holes where one link leads here, another link leads there.
Do I ever?
Well, apparently, one of the things that she saw was it was like this top 10 things you don't realize, like top 10 disgusting things you don't realize are in food.
Oh no.
And like she was trying to give me some details, and while trying to pay attention to the road and also hear the conversation, like, I swear the bullet points that I got out of it was that, she kept talking about, vanilla, raspberry, anus, vanilla, anus, raspberry, anus, vanilla. Like, okay, so I'm thinking that something with vanilla extract involves an animal anus of some kind or variety.
What?
I don't know. I meant to look this up before talking about it, just to see if I can find more details on it. But, like, yeah, apparently vanilla extract that we all know and love that is used in, like, baking and stuff like that has, like, some sort of distillery process in an animal's butt. I don't know. I don't know. It could just be the internet trolling, what have you. But then she was talking about this thing where it's like, it's like this video of like farm animals that are raised on like slaughter farms that uh, just shows a compilation of lambs and chickens and cows and everything like that, like snuggling, cuddling, and otherwise rubbing up on the owners of the farm and the ranch hands and everything like that. Only to go through the slaughterhouse process. And, and she felt so bad, and she's like, no, like, I swear, there are times where, like, if meat wasn't so good, I would want to be a vegan. And at that point, I had to stop her. I'm like, babe, honey, to be 100% honest with you, I think I would love you less if you became a vegan. Like, I've said it before, where I've told people, like, if my child ever came up to me and said they were gay, I would have no issue with that whatsoever. You do you, buddy. If it's an eggplant in the butt, you do you. But like, if my kid ever told me that they were a vegetarian or God forbid a vegan, I would disown them in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah.
You voluntarily, deny yourself bacon, and other proteins, like something that pure and delicious. Like, why? Why would you do that? But I digress. So, I had to talk her out of that, and then she's like, well, you're not helping the case at all, And I'm like, all right, well, put yourself in the animal's shoes. Like, if animals could, they would do the same thing to you in a heartbeat. Like lambs and cows and everything are all cute, but that's just because that we already had the upper hand coming into it. Like, if they had the upper hand, no, your ass would be dead. Like, you would be a burger right now in some bull's stomach. So don't show them any sympathy. Like, the only reason they're not doing it to us is because we did it to them first.
And because we taste bad.
So I hear, but I mean, I'm under the impression that I would try anything once. Just, I don't know when I want to pull that cannibalism trigger.
Yeah, I mean, God forbid you like it. And then it's like, well, I can't have it again unless I want to be, unlawful again.
Yeah, like, the first time may be a mistake or, like, survival instinct, but the second time it's technically premeditated.
Yeah. Man, that tasted good. There is nothing out there like that. Now what?
Yeah. The hunger. But and then I told her along the same lines, like, all right, well, in the animal kingdom, what about insects? I mean, if you think for a second that if they had even a shred of intelligence, a little bit, like, any other animal would exist on this planet anymore. Like, if insects just became intelligent overnight and they were going to work together to, like, do whatever they want to, man is gone. There's no way mankind's surviving that.
You're talking all insects.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought of that one.
Yeah, just even a shred of it. Just no, we wouldn't exist.
I mean, you got to think that is land, sea, and air.
Yeah, they're everywhere, and like they have the highest breeding rate of any other living thing on this planet besides plants. Like, you're talking something that reproduces. Like, if you ever look at a statistic about how many, like, if you look at the people, how many people are born and die on a day-to-day basis, you're like, all right, well, that seems like a pretty high number. And then you hear the one for insects, just like in general, how many bugs are born and then die on a day-to-day basis. You look at that number and you go, that's ridiculous. There's no way that number is real. You don't even realize how many you kill on your drive to work every day. Like, they are literally everywhere. You're like, if that number is real, then bugs would literally be all over the place. Well, I have a secret for you. They are.
Yeah.
They are literally everywhere.
Yeah.
And then I did her one further because I got distracted in my own conversation, which I often do. And I'm like, it'd be weird. What if you had, like, non-insect creatures, like, had insect capabilities, like their traits and stuff like that? And I went with a barnyard, scenario where I'm like, okay, well, imagine if a chicken, like, laid its eggs in other things, and then when they hatched, the chicks had to eat their way out of the host body. Like, that is just terrifying.
You need to write a book.
or like, you have cows that, like, learn how to push poop from dung beetles. Like, You just have cows rolling huge turd balls across the farm.
My God.
You never need to fertilize.
Well, I think the better thing to think about here is what if, to go back to what you were saying about the insects, what if all animals and insects decided to work together?
Oh God. Yeah, because there's no plan for that. Like you can't plan for that.
How could you?
Right. Like I mean, all of your vital organ, like your eyes, your nose, your ears, your mouth, covered in bugs. Like they would fly into your orifices and choke you with themselves.
I guess the
Um,
I guess that the real question here is not how long humans would last, but how long would that trust last? Because that's what's going to ultimately happen. At some point, they're going to be like, "We're better than they are," and it could come from either side. Because the animals could just be like, "We can just kill them quickly,"
yeah.
and then the bugs are just like, "We can just kill them quickly."
Today we cooperate. Tomorrow we eat.
So, like, the question is, how long before one side realizes that, and who's the first side to realize it?
You know who's never had a war? Animals. Now who's the real animal? Yeah. Yeah, that was a fun conversation to have at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, what the hell, man? First of all, I want to be the first one to commend you on even speaking to your significant other that early in the morning. I mean, I am thankful for the fact that I wake up at least an hour before before my wife does. Because she's still sleeping when I leave for work, and at first, going through my mind as I'm getting ready for work, I'm looking at her, and she is the most comfortable looking thing in the world. She's got all the blankets snuggled up and as many pillows as she wants. She could be spread across the bed or, in the weirdest, oddest position that for some god-awful reason looks incredibly painful, yet the most comfortable thing in the world. And I just look at her dead in the face, and I just think to myself, you bitch! That is me that should be in that bed right now.
You don't deserve it. Those are my covers.
I hate it every morning. It's
funny.
and you're sitting here telling me about how you're having a complete conversation, not to mention a ridiculous conversation with your significant other at 5:30 in the morning. God.
Yeah. No, and it's like because she works in the school system, so like during school year, I don't talk to her as much in the morning because I usually feel bad. I'm like, she always says that she doesn't care if I call her in the morning. Like she'll always answer and want to hear from me, and it's like her favorite thing in the world. And
oh, God,
well,
adorable.
listen to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, how long do we give it until that stops happening? Because look, they all go through that cute lovey-dovey phase. Eventually, she's going to hate you.
I mean, probably. It'll be my own damn fault when it happens, too.
Oh, absolutely, and you can't even see it coming. It's like bugs revolting against us.
I can't see much coming, but but during the summertime she has off, and I'll give her a call every once in a while, but mostly she'll give me a call, and yeah, we'll just talk for my car ride into work, and then I'll sit in the parking lot at work for 10 or 15 minutes depending on how early I get there, just to wrap things up. And more than once she's made me a minute late to work, and to the point where I think last year I was on last chance for that. They're like, if you're ever a minute late again, don't come in at all. I'm like, oh shit.
Really?
Hon, I love you so damn much, but I got to go.
They made you on over a minute, exactly 1 minute?
Yeah. Because it was I think the last year was 11 latenesses, and out of 11 latenesses, 9 of them were by a minute.
Oh man.
Yeah, and they're like, no more. You cannot be late, not even a minute. You're like, oh, yep, yes, sir.
You got it, signed.
Yeah, you got it. No problem.
That's funny, though, because I was recently having a conversation with a few people, my wife included, about there's a couple that me and my wife are friends with, and then an aunt and uncle of mine. We're sitting around, we're just talking about how, like, at first it's adorable, like, mostly regarding marriages or just long-lasting relationships or whatever. At first it's adorable because you got the lovey-dovey phase and everything, and it's like, oh, no, you hang up. No, you hang up. You know, one of those things, and I love you more, and no, I love you more, and that it's sickening to hear, but it's one of those things that you want to just sit there and go, that was once me. Because now it's eventually for everyone it becomes, I can't stand you. Why are you still here? You wake up in the morning, good, you again. Man, this is great. It's just we've determined that marriages and relationships in general and stuff like that, the good lasting ones are the ones that don't lie to themselves. They're the ones that are just like, you know what, I don't like you, but we can tolerate each other, and that's kind of cool. So,
True love, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah.
Well, and see that's funny because like we don't really have a typical lovey-dovey thing because we really don't. I had to laugh because like I would tell her
Don't have a
I would tell her.
lovey-dovey thing. What? You just sat there and told me that her favorite thing in the world is talking to you at 5:30 in the morning. My good sir, if you do not consider that a lovey-dovey thing, then I can't wait to be around when you guys start quote-unquote hating each other by,
Hold on.
eating each other's candy or something, because that's terrible.
That does sound pretty terrible.
Are
But
you
hold
kidding
on a second.
me? I eat half my wife's dinner every night.
Well,
I don't
that's
even care if she wants it to happen or not. Like, that looks good. Give me that.
Lyle's off the wagon again. No. Because here's the thing. Because I'll tell her that I love you more, and she'll look at me and go, I know.
Yeah, that's still part of the cute phase. Like, not accepting that. Let me know when you guys get into an argument over who hates each other more. I hate you more. No, I hate you more. Anyway,
Hard to imagine that, man. Really is.
it is. I mean, it's a lot of good fun. You guys have fun with that stuff. At least we do. I don't know. Maybe me and my
No.
wife are just kind of weird.
We'll have fun. Did you see what she wrote on my Facebook thing for my birthday?
I'll be paying attention to that shit. I go on Facebook for one reason and one reason only, and that is to manage this wonderful podcast that I do.
And you do such a good job.
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
No, you do. No, for my birthday thing, like the only thing that she wrote on my timeline besides happy birthday was, I am so glad that years ago your parents did the nasty.
Nice. Yeah, speaking of which, it was Andy's birthday last week sometime.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know these things because I'm not a good friend. But at some
I
point,
didn't care. I
Facebook.
wasn't advertising.
Right. At some point, Facebook was like, "Hey, it's Andy's birthday," and I'm like, "Nah, he didn't tell me that. That must be lying."
No, that's right.
And even if it's right, I don't like being told happy birthday, so I'm not going to tell him. So when my birthday rolls around, he could sit there and go, "Well, he didn't tell me happy birthday, so I'm not going to tell him happy birthday." I'm like, "Yeah, good for you."
Yeah, I mean, I've never been petty when it comes to that. I actually had to laugh because like there are times where like I won't write on somebody's wall for like their birthday because I'm like I see them in person. I'll just tell them happy birthday in person.
Right.
Because like people do.
Right.
And then there are other times where like I'll hear from a bunch of people and I do appreciate the birthday well wishing and everything like that. But like I'm not a very communicative person from a media standpoint anyway.
No.
I'm not. Like, as long as you've met me, you should know that I wish you the best, and you should just probably sit on that thought for an indefinite period of time until I tell you otherwise, because that feeling is going to stagnate from now until the end of our relationship together. Like, that's my viewpoint.
Yeah,
like,
that's accurate.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't need to like reaffirm that relationship that we have like over and over and over again through like various things. I may check in from time to time, but I'm like, honestly, how much different of a person are you in 3 months?
Yeah, it's more along the lines of, "Hey, Lyle. Yeah, Andy? You still fat? Yes, Andy, I'm still fat. Yeah, I thought so. See you in 3 months. One faithful day. Hey, Andy. Yeah, buddy. You want to do a podcast? Yeah, I can do that. And now we see each other every week.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you keep the interaction thing going, I'm not much of an initiator. I think it's
No.
from all that lesson I got as a kid when they were like, oh, don't speak unless spoken to, and then now here I am as an adult and people are like, why don't you say anything? It's like, because you didn't start a conversation.
There's times you don't say anything.
There are, believe it or not, there are.
Yeah, because I don't believe it. Anyway, speaking of saying things, you aren't the only one that had a fun conversation this week. See, I had the opportunity to speak with my mother over the past week. And I say that, and it sounds like I never talk to my mom. I don't talk to my mom enough. I'm just trying to throw that out there. I don't. It's the truth.
You never call.
Oh, it is much screechier than that. What you just did was my grandmother, except my grandmother says something more along the lines of, "Don't come and visit me or anything. I don't want to frickin' see you anyway." I don't know why. She thinks reverse psychology is going to work. Or maybe she's not using reverse psychology. I haven't decided yet, but she always says that. It's hysterical. Don't come and see me. One time someone asked her, why do you tell him not to come and see you? Because he's not going to come and see me anyway, so at least this way he'll listen.
Damn.
Yeah, my grandma's great. And it doesn't matter how many times I go and see her neither, because if I go and see her, like, whenever there's holidays and stuff, I'll go over there and help her cook and stuff like that. So I'll go over there maybe a couple days prior to the holiday happening to help prep and everything. And a couple days later, I'll be there for the holiday, and she'll hit me with the never, don't come and see me or anything. Grandma was just here a couple days ago. You were? Yeah. Oh, all right. So it's not like she remembers anyway. Anyway, back to my mom. So I finally got to show my new place to my mom. It was hard finding a day where she had off and didn't have anything to do important. She is a nurse's aide of some sort. She works at a veterans home where she aids nurses and stuff of that nature. So she has to be kept up on all of her licensing and all that stuff. So she had what?
Wait, are you talking about the one in Violent?
Yeah.
The Jersey Veterans Memorial Home?
Yeah.
My mom worked over there for over 20 years.
Oh, our moms probably know each other. Imagine that.
Weird. Okay.
Wouldn't it be awesome if they did a podcast together? They just have crazy stories about veterans and shit. Changing veteran diapers and shit. Oh, that'd be great.
I can't even tell you how many times I went through there as a kid and have a bunch of old people like try to convince themselves that I was their long lost family trying to visit. I'm like, no, I'm just trying to see my mom. Get away from me. Ew, old people.
That's funny because I've actually never been there, and she has been there for over 20 years. That's what I'm saying. I'm fairly certain that our two mothers know each other at that point. Anyway, let's move on. So, my mom, this is a conversation to be had after the podcast, by the way.
Yeah, right? I never knew. Yeah, continue.
Yeah, so, my mom works there or whatever, and like I said, she had to keep up on her requirements and licensing and all that stuff, so she had to go get all of her certifications renewed and all that, which I'm sure you know about with your mom. So she had to go take care of that. It was hard for her to find time to come over and see the place. Finally, she found time to come see the place, which happened to land at an interesting time because, for those that don't know, long story short, when I was about 2 years old, my mom and dad split up, and my dad moved to Colorado. And that
he went to go get cigarettes.
Yeah, kind of. His thing was, I'm going to do laundry. So he didn't come back. And I'd never met him, that I can cognitively remember on my own. Until I was 23 years old. He got in touch with me over the internet. And we touched base with each other and have been, for the most part, talking ever since. So I went to Colorado to visit him a few times now. I brought my wife with me. I brought a cousin of mine with me and his significant other. We all had great times every time we went out there. It's a great time with them, great time with that family, everything like that. Never had a opportunity to have him come to me though. Well, got this new place, everything's going great. He happens to have a really good job out there and everything that is offering him a week to 10 days of vacation time, and he's like, I think it'd be great if I came to New Jersey and spend it with you at your new place. I'm like, that's a great idea. I'll take off the week. It'll be a blast. So that's happening. I go up to my mom, or she comes to me rather, and I said, Mom, you want a beer? No, I gotta drive. Okay. And I'm like, you sure? Because you might want to sit down for what I'm about to tell you. Oh God. So she sits down, and I said, Mom, do you remember?
Oh, she probably thought it was baby news too. You psyched her out, you son of a bitch.
No, because I wouldn't have offered her a beer for that. I would have offered her. First of all, my wife would have been, beaming, absolutely glowing, dying to tell her the news. So I'm sure because my wife was probably in the kitchen doing. I don't know what she was doing. I'm not saying that my wife was probably in the kitchen because she's my wife. No, God, no.
Was she barefoot? You bastard.
No. I am pretty sure I remember her being in the kitchen though. But I don't know what she was doing in there. Anyway, so I sat her down and I'm like, you remember like a year or so ago I told you hypothetically if my dad was to ever come to New Jersey to visit, all hypotheticals, would you go out to dinner with me and him and possibly take a picture so I can finally say that I went to dinner with my parents? And she just looks at me. No, I don't remember that. Like in the most stern, angry, and don't tell me what I think you're going to tell me voice possible. And I'm like, well, you did, and you agreed to it. So that's happening. And she goes, oh God, when is he coming? Is he already here? Is he in another room? Like she starts freaking out. My mom hasn't seen my dad in arguably, let's say I'm 30 now, 28 years. So she started freaking a little bit. And I'm like, no, he's not here yet. I said he will be here sometime in August, probably closer to the beginning of August. So there's that much time to prepare. I need to know that you'll do this for me, though. Now, after some convincing, she finally did seem like she would agree to it. She said to get back to her, she has to think about it, but probably it would. And then she started going into the more positive answers, like, well, it would at least have to be on a day that I have off,
We have to go for ice cream afterwards.
No. If anything, it has to be a place with a bar. Oh my God, it was funny. And then what's even better
I can only imagine.
What's even better is originally I was talking to my wife ahead of time, telling her I was going to tell her about it, whatever, and she was like, how's your mom going to react to that? I said, well, I mean, she said yes to it before, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. And talking to my wife, I was like, and I hope you understand, but if it's all the same to you, I'd like for it to just be the three of us, because this is an experience I never had, and I don't want things to get super awkward for you. And she's like, I am so glad you said that, because I don't want to go. And I'm like, all right, cool. Right.
Nice.
So, while we're telling my mom, well, while I'm telling my mom this, I said, oh yeah, she comes into the room, my wife comes into the room, is like, something along the lines of like, yeah, and he doesn't want me to go because he doesn't want things to be awkward or whatever, blah, blah, blah. My mom just looks at her and, or no. Something along the lines of like, that's why I was trying to tell him that I should go to make things not so awkward or whatever, and blah, blah, blah. And my mom just looks at her, you weren't gonna go? So she just committed the ultimate sin. Oh my God, it was so funny. It was such a good time.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, I don't even care if it happens or not now. Like, the conversation leading up to it alone was awesome.
Like, I don't know, I don't think I've met either of your parents. So, stories, it's about all I have to go on. But, I can only imagine if either one of them was, like, trying to prod or poke the other, during the conversation, at dinner or something like that. And just, like, trying to tell, like, one up each other on, like, embarrassing stories about the other person or how much of an ass or a bitch they are.
as much
Man,
as I
to
would,
be a fly on the wall there.
as much as I would like to record that conversation for podcast purposes, I'm going to be telling them ahead of time, like, look, this is something for your son, not for you guys to get revenge at each other. Like, can we just keep the conversation to a minimum if it has to be, you know? To which I know for a fact, I get my talking thing from my dad. Now, what I mean by my talking thing, just to give a little bit more. You guys are getting a background story on Lyle today. I never started talking when I was a kid until I was 4 years old, and that's a little late for most kids. Um, there's not really much of a reason behind it. If you want to get into the weird details, it was because I still had a pacifier until I was 4. And I had a scary uncle, and I'll just leave it at that. Or at least I thought he was scary at the time. Not scary in a weird way. Like, scary as in, like, the dude will snap anyone's neck at any second because he's just that built. You know what I mean? So he came up to me, yanked the pacifier out of my mouth, and threw it into a tree branch, and I didn't say a single peep. Anyone else did that, I would cry my eyes out until another one was replaced with it. Or so I'm told. But apparently, soon after he did that incident and I didn't have a pacifier in my mouth anymore, I started talking. And I don't mean like one or two words, but like forming, whole lines of words. Like much more than any person that just started talking should be doing. And as my mom will tell everybody, he started talking then and he hasn't shut up since. So I talk a lot to, family members and stuff like that. And apparently my mom tells me, and now that I've met him, I can confirm I get that quality from my dad because my God, does he not shut up. So yeah, it's if you could think of all the funny, comedic, annoying things about me, that comes from my father. The angry, low patience, and all that stuff, that comes from my mom. So,
Wow.
there you go. That's my parents in a nutshell. Actually,
wow,
I think I'm my parents in a nutshell.
Well, I mean, genetics. But I can only imagine your dad, like, trying to talk to you during the dinner and be like, oh, your mother used to tell you about this thing I did that would get her off.
Oh, Jesus. It's crazy. My dad would say something like that. And I could just hear it now. Ah, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Still the comedian after all these years. He thinks he's so damn funny. I can't wait.
About to say it, man. Can I go? I'll take Abby's spot.
You can't go, but here's something I was thinking about doing, and I'm going to ask you. I was going to ask you this off mic, but I'm going to just say screw it and do it here. I was thinking, he's coming for a whole week. That's going to fall on a podcast day.
Okay.
Maybe we can have a guest on that week.
Absolutely.
I kind of figured you'd be on board with it. Oh my God, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Oh man. Okay. No, this is definitely something that we have to discuss off mic because okay. I have some questions and some permissions to ask for.
I have a feeling they're all going to be yes, go for it. But sure.
Not all of them.
I think they are. The only way that they're not going to be all yes, go for it is if it's something that I would typically say no to without him being on the podcast. Because he's about as lenient as I am when it comes to, weird things, I guess. I don't know.
Because I was gonna ask him what's his brand.
Brand?
Like, the guy goes out for cigarettes. What kind is he going for? This must have been some hard ass cigarettes to buy.
Are you kidding me? I still make that joke.
Yeah, really tough to find Lucky Strikes anymore, ain't it, Pops?
What's funny is when I went out there for the first time to Colorado, like, apparently he's the only smartass of the entire family, minus me. So when I go out there, like, no one's expecting these quips and these little jokes and jabs here and there from anyone other than him. So when, my one cousin who has a child is sitting there and he's like trying to corral his kid or whatever to have her eat dinner or something like that, and my dad's like, oh, maybe you should do this instead. I just sit there and go, yeah, take fathering advice from him. That'll work. And they're just like, their jaw just drops and my dad's cracking up. And they're like, he can't do that. That's your shtick. What's he doing? Anyway.
Nice.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. So yeah, that was something that was fun. Conversation with my mom. I can't wait until it actually happens. But enough of all that. There's one other thing we got to talk about before we get into clickbait news. Something Andy wanted to talk about. Because we do have clickbait news, and it is all 100% Florida.
Yay!
But...
Oh, I can't wait.
Well, then let's make this quick. Andy wanted to talk about movies.
Yeah, just real briefly, because, like, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, but it's just one of those things where, like, you kind of read the ebb and flow of, media, and, like, years ago, people tried to make the comic book movie work, and, you had a couple gems here or there, but for the most part, it was pretty shitty, until, like, there was, like, the dawn of the superhero movie, where it was like, okay, now we can actually make competently good comic book films to the point where everybody's digging up every obscure license just to make a movie about it, just so that they can show
every single one.
Yeah, every single one. I mean, to the point where, like, they're doing, like, remakes of ones they already did. Like, I actually really liked the Spawn movie. I did.
Yeah.
It was corny, but I liked it.
Right, same here.
And they're going to do a remake of it.
I'm 100% fine with that. Do you know why? Because I own Spawn issue 1. It is hanging to my immediate right now. And that bad boy is worth a grand total of, I think, $10. So if they remake the Spawn movie and it is as successful as, say, the Avengers movie was, that bad boy is going to be a hell of an investment that I made.
Right. Well, Lyle's personal gains aside,
Screw that. Lyle's personal gains is the only thing Lyle cares about.
Except your weight, right, buddy?
Well, that's a personal gain that never stops.
Love you.
Now, Speaking of, real quick, if I may be so bold as to interject, me and Fresco on the pre-show thing that we do here, we were discussing a rather serious topic that I believe needs to come to fruition right now on mic, on recording. The topic, of course, is none other than the little potbelly that is forming on the front side of one Andy.
Okay.
What I'm trying to say here, ladies and gentlemen, is Andy's getting fat, and me and him love it because we get to make fat jokes at him, and it's hysterical. That's all. Continue with your story.
That aside, brought to you by the letter, I don't know.
Fat. As in, you're fat. Andy's fat. Go on, fat, and it's fat.
Oh my god. What was that line? It was in an Ultimate Spider-Man comic where, like, where he was like, he confronted Kingpin for the first time, and like Kingpin's like, how do you know who I am? And he's like, Carson Daly told me. He's like, I don't know Carson Daly. He's like, of course not, because he didn't invent his own pastry. Isn't that right, you big fat fatty of a fat man?
That's great.
Freaking love that line. Anyway, so yeah, I bring up the superhero movie because it seems that, like, a trend coming forward is that they're going to try to reproduce the same magic with anime-inspired movies. We already had Ghost in the Shell come out to some lukewarm reviews at best, which is a sin because, like, when I saw the trailer for it, I was totally on board. The visual aesthetic was, like, very anime-ish, and it looked pretty true to the source material. I just don't know what happened.
Well, I'll say this much: our buddies over at Countdown to Geektown seem to like it.
Right? I haven't seen it myself. I'm going to. I know I am as soon as it becomes available to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I swear, some movies come out like 3 months after they leave theaters, and then there's other ones that drag on for like ever. But you got that. They did a live action movie, or like I think even a pair of movies based on Attack on Titan in Japan, and some American studio is like, no, we'll show you how it's done, guys. Full Metal Alchemist is getting a movie, Bleach is getting a movie, Akira, Battle Angel, and there's some names attached to them, like James Cameron, Steven Spielberg. Like these guys are trying to make freaking anime inspired movies, and I'm like, I'm excited and I'm leery at the same time because I know they're going to go through a lot of crap before they reach something that's good, and even then the shows are so nuanced and weird. Like they have a niche that I don't think blockbuster movies are going to be able to do any kind of justice for, because they have to change the source material so much to make it consumable for a mass audience, which is not the point of anime in the first place. That's the reason why most animes are done by single studios.
You're right, but at the same time, and trust me, let me just drop this bombshell. Well, I'll explain first. Comic book movies had that issue at first. The issue with comic book movies is the weird
issue with comic book movies.
the weird suit problem. Like, how many people wanted to get into a bright yellow and blue leotard and call themselves Wolverine? Not many. But Hugh Jackman pulled off the awesome tank top and blue jeans look, and we've never looked back up until Logan. Anyway, so that was a niche that would never have translated well onto the big screen. I mean, look at Electro. Sure, a lot of people didn't like The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but you can't deny they made the right call by making Ultimate Electro happen instead of original Electro with the green and bright yellow leotard thing going on and that weird face mask thing, whatever that was. Even Vulture, the new Spider-Man Homecoming, literally comes out tomorrow. He looks great in that. So there's that.
Yeah.
And how great would he have looked if it was just some guy in a weird green feathered suit and a bald head and very, very pointy eyebrows.
Really, really weird.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, they made that work. And that was the one, as you put it, that was the one niche at that comic books had. So if they can make that stuff work on film for that, maybe they could do it with anime. That being said, I have a cliff note here to talk about anime-inspired movies on the rise. Next to it, I have ... and I can care less. So, if you're finished, then we're finished, because I have nothing else to add to this, because God, I hate anime. I have only ever watched, and I will put it on record, as a kid, I liked my Pokemon anime, like the first 2 seasons, and that's it, because I could never really... Even when Pokemon made its comeback into my life with Pokemon Go, and then Pokemon Sun and Moon, I had a lot of fun with that. The games are always fun. I was like, I'm going to walk down memory lane, I'm going to actually watch the series again and see how far I can get. I was intending on watching all of it. I got to about season 4, which is way further than I've ever gotten when I was a kid, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. My wife, on the other hand, now, she was never really a huge fan of that stuff. She said she watched it a little bit here and there as a kid, only when, like, getting ready for school, or to watch it before something else came on, or something like that. But she started from the beginning and made it, like, something crazy, like season 13 or something like that. It was insane. And the only the only reason she stopped watching it is because she stopped finding episodes on YouTube. So if she could find more on YouTube, I'm sure she would still watch it, or some other way to watch it. Like, she not only did she watch them all, she watched them on her cell phone. It wasn't even like on a computer or anything, so it was a very small screen, and she was dedicated to it. Every single day, she would easily go through like 2 or 3 episodes. It was something.
I mean, everybody loves Dragon Ball Z. How can you not like Dragon Ball Z?
That was the other thing I used to watch. Dragon Ball Z was, in fact, the other show I used to watch, and I watched the hell out of it. I mean, all of it. I watched all of that. GT I wasn't super fond of. I seen most of it. Yeah, it was just kind of, and when they said it's not canon, I'm like, oh, thank God, because it was ridiculous. I kind of hate myself for never watching all of Dragon Ball as, a youngster or a younger person, because now I just can't get into anime, dude. I don't know why. I just can't. Like, even stuff that I probably would have liked before, like Dragon Ball, I just cannot bring myself to watch it.
Dude, I keep telling this to everybody because I have a good friend of mine that I grew up with, and he doesn't like anime either, and he never did. But uh, he got turned on to One Punch Man and says that that is like the greatest thing ever. And he still will not go out of his way to watch other anime, but he loved the shit out of One Punch Man because that is such a fantastic anime.
I've heard that from multiple sources that even if you don't like anime, watch this one. But I don't know. I have video games to play, man.
Understood.
But we should really wrap this up and move on to clickbait news because I feel like it's been a while. I don't know. I don't timestamp these things because I'm not good at things anymore.
No, it actually has been a while.
So let's just move on here. Like I said, 3 Florida stories. I'm just going to do them in order. But I will tell you this much: we are going to cap this whole segment off with a follow-up story from an old clickbait news story.
Now this one has me excited. A follow-up story.
A follow-up Florida clickbait news story.
Oh my god, I've got tingles.
But we're going to end with that one. We're not going to start with it. So, the first story I am going to propose to you, Andy. Why did the Greyhound dog trainer have his license suspended?
Ooh, because he slept with his students.
No. No. All right. Florida racing greyhounds test positive for cocaine.
Wait, the Greyhounds tested positive for
Greyhounds tested positive for At least 12 Greyhound racing dogs in Florida have tested positive for cocaine, and their trainer has had his license suspended.
Oh my god.
It's at least the second instance this year of racing greyhounds testing positive for cocaine. The dogs race at Best Bet Orange Park in Northeast Florida near Jacksonville. The state is home to 12 of the 19 dog tracks in the U.S., where 40 states have outlawed the sport. I actually didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Right? Although supporters say the dogs are treated well, the industry faces intense scrutiny. Records show Florida's greyhound industry has had 62 cocaine positives since 2008. Why are all these dogs doing cocaine?
Do they know something I don't? Oh, that's how they stay so thin.
Yeah.
It all makes sense.
Oh, God. The Lindsay Lohan breed of dogs, ladies and gentlemen. Although supporters say the dogs are true. Oh, yeah, I already said that. So, in the Jacksonville area case, first reported by some TV station, the dogs tested positive in March and April for benzoylide. Okay, this is your moment, Lyle. Benzoylgonine, a metabolite of cocaine. According
Good job,
to
buddy. You only sound a little bit retarded.
According to documents from the State Department of Business and Professional Regulation, the documents are dated June 9th and say that trainer Charles McClellan is a threat to animals in his control, custody, and care. The Associated Press could not locate a phone number or email address for McClellan, but he told this TV station he had lost his job as a greyhound trainer. The agency has scheduled a formal hearing on this case for August 23rd. In a statement to news outlets, that is only 8 days away from the Side Splitters live broadcast.
Oh, man.
1 year. Yeah, the news outlet said this. The 1 year anniversary, August 15th. Oh, wait, that's wrong. That's July 15th. Don't pay attention to that.
Yeah, but
in a statement to news outlets, Best Bet Orange Park said it supports the swift action taken by the state in suspending the trainer's license. During March and April, McClellan was an employee of the Steve Sayers Kennel. Sayers of West Virginia did not respond to a Facebook message and did not answer a phone call seeking comment. He also serves on the National Greyhound Association board. So, yeah, there you go. Tested positive for cocaine in 12 dogs.
And 62 instances of cocaine in greyhounds?
In 9 years, yeah.
Okay, so, man, I never thought of cocaine as a performance-enhancing drug. I always just assumed that it was just something that people get, just wrecked on, and that's it.
I mean, it kind of makes sense though, because not that I'm trying to advocate this, but
Aren't you?
cocaine usually, from what I understand, just kind of gets you going. Like it makes you super hyper, and even if it only lasts for like 15, 20 minutes or something like that, in those 15, 20 minutes, you are just like hyper mode. So it kind of makes sense to get the greyhounds hopped up on cocaine for them to be like, holy shit, let's chase this rabbit. For like 15 minutes.
Like, so I don't understand. Okay, so explain to me something about greyhound racing here, because like,
Oh, I don't know how much I can, but I'll try.
all right, so what happens when the dog catches the rabbit?
I don't know, man. I think the idea is to
Because
put it ahead enough so that they never can.
how do they like?
It sounds to me like they're giving the dogs the wrong drugs. They should be giving them heroin. Because that's what they're doing anyway. They're chasing a rabbit that they can never catch.
Honestly, if they want to make it like a real interesting sport, get them all high on marijuana, have the track only be like maybe 50 feet long, and have that rabbit go slow as shit. And whoever can actually muster enough, like, motivation to go after the damn thing for 50 feet, that should be the one that gets the prize.
You see, you sound right, but you have to keep in mind marijuana will cause munchies. So after like 15 minutes or so, they're all going to go, oh my god, is that a moving snack?
Yeah, but in that instance, like, how pissed are the dogs that if they're chasing the rabbit just to have like a snack, literally every race the dog is in, he never gets the fucking rabbit.
That might be the one time they get it though. Because they
Like,
really want that rabbit all of a sudden.
out of sympathy or pity, do they just give the first prize dog like a rabbit to eat? Like, it's
I
like,
don't
here
know,
you go,
man.
buddy. This one's for you.
Let's move on to the next story. Alright, so okay. Right, so I need you to tell me where this Florida woman, who had been arrested on drug charges, where did she hide her bag of meth?
Well, clearly not at the racetrack.
Right.
Ooh, she hid it in the place that I had a feeling that if I ever became a woman, it would be my personal hiding spot. She put it in her vajayjay.
I thought we were calling that hoo hoo dilly.
I was gonna go with that, but I just like vajayjay.
What's the matter? You couldn't find the hoo? Did you dislocate your hoo hoo dilly?
I did dislocate my hoo dilly.
A Florida woman who had been arrested on drug charges decided to hide a bag of meth in her buttocks while being booked into the county jail, deputies said. The ploy didn't work. You were close. Wait till you see the picture of this fucking winner. The ploy didn't work in time. Summer Nicole Adamson, 30, of Bonita Springs, had been pulled over when someone reported she broke a car window. That's when deputies say they found a syringe and heroin. During a search at the county jail, deputies say she then grabbed the bag of meth, put it in her mouth, and began to chew it. Adamson faces 5 drug-related charges and remains in jail on $22,000 bond, and that's pretty much it. But she hid it in her butt and then ate the meth out of her butt while in jail.
I don't. Wow. Oh God.
That's her. That's Summer.
Oh my God, that pineapple is giving me a come hither look.
Come hither pineapples?
Oh, you fuck.
Alright.
Alright, so hold on. So she was doing heroin, but had meth in her butt.
Yeah.
What other drugs was she hiding on
Well,
herself?
she has 5 drug-related charges.
Are they all the same drugs?
Obviously not. They found a syringe and heroin on her, took her to jail, and she started eating meth out of her butt.
I mean, at the end of the day, isn't that the American dream?
I guess it is.
Like, I thought this was America, huh? I thought this was America, guys.
I don't know
No,
how true
that's
this story is, and I'm not going to go into it. But I just see a headline for another Florida story based off of my, interest in this one that says drug bust in Florida retirement community uncovers possible golf cart chop shop. And it just sounds hysterical to me.
wow.
Well, like I said, we're not going to go into that, but yeah.
No, but yeah, thanks for at least reading the title.
Okay. All right. Are we ready for our follow-up story?
Oh, am I ever?
First of all, let's just take a moment. This is our first follow-up story ever.
I'll try to do it justice.
Do you want to take a guess at what it could possibly be?
Man, we have had so many
I know,
stories
but it's
over the
like
last year.
if I tell you what it is, you're going to get it immediately. So I'm just going to say, try to remember a story from Florida. And I feel like this is the same shot you always have with these things. So
Okay.
at least
Okay.
this one's multiple choice.
All right. So I'm gonna go with, was it the guy that fed his dick to the crocodile?
No.
Oh.
Good guess though, but no. I don't think there's much to follow up on with that one.
Oh, maybe he found it in the woods.
He died, Andy. Didn't the crocodile eat all of them? I thought they did. Maybe they did. I don't know.
He didn't eat all of them, and yeah, I don't know. Usually, if I hear a story about a penis going away, I like to imagine that it has a happy ending at some point.
Okay, well here's the story.
Yeah, because I can't even begin to tell you all the Florida stories that we've
Florida
had.
man who was tired of walking steals another forklift.
Oh my fucking god, this guy!
And I had to double check the article to make sure it was legit him doing it a second time. And the first line, a Florida man who stole a forklift 2 months ago struck again, and he had the same reason. He didn't want to walk.
Man, oh my god.
I don't remember having a name on this guy before. So this time we have a name. Because I feel like if we had a name, we would have made fun of his name. Because his name is Bradley Barefoot. This is a homeless guy that doesn't want to walk, and his name is Bradley Barefoot.
That sounds like a caricature if I ever heard one.
Well, it says Bradley Barefoot, 43, was, coincidentally, barefoot when he stole the forklift in Port Orange on Wednesday. When deputies found Barefoot, he parked the equipment in a spot for handicapped drivers. He was, quote, talking to himself while swearing and throwing his hands up. Barefoot told deputies he took the vehicle because, quote, the keys were in the ignition and he was tired of walking. A similar incident happened in April when Barefoot stumbled upon a forklift in a Best Buy parking lot. He reportedly moved some boxes and took it for a spin. Barefoot was charged with grand theft. So,
he was charged with grand theft, but wait,
yeah.
last time or this time?
Well, actually, if I remember correctly, he was charged with grand theft then too, because I remember us having a conversation of what constitutes something as grand theft, and I remember saying probably when you steal something that's worth $1,000, and a forklift would be worth $1,000. So what's funny is, how is it only 2 months later and he's available to do this again?
Right? Was he not convicted? I
he's
doubt
homeless.
he made bail.
Right, he's homeless. There's no way he made bail.
And here's the thing. He got a home. They put him in shelter, gave him food, And he's just like, nah, I want to get out of here. This place is for criminals. I am not a criminal. Ooh, another forklift.
Man, I'm tired of walking.
Yeah, man, I'm tired of walking.
Oh, man.
Bradley Barefoot.
Maybe it was because that just sounds like something that Marvel would come up with in like the 50s. Like that is a Stan Lee name if I've ever heard one in my life.
I was thinking it was going to be something along the lines of like, one of those WHYY like kid shows, like Franklin the Turtle and Arthur and stuff like that. Like that's a home for Bradley Barefoot. Not this. He would actually have bare feet. You know what I'm saying? Like he would be a bear that was always going around town giving kids advice and watching out for their best interests. He would, of course, be homeless, but, he would be a delightful homeless person, not one of those scary, you don't know if he's on drugs or mentally unhinged.
But he would totally be lazy because he wouldn't want to walk, ever.
No. He would definitely be driving a forklift in the kids' show.
Well, if we ever make a kids' show, that's ours, damn it.
Oh, yeah, no, Bradley Barefoot is definitely a character.
Copyright.
Would not have it any other way.
What's even better is if all the other characters, who are also animals, in fact have shoes, and constantly point out the fact that Bradley Barefoot does not have shoes on, ever. And he's like, well, my bare feet make it so I don't need shoes. And they constantly tell him, like, well, if you just had a pair of shoes, maybe you wouldn't mind walking so much. And, like, maybe episode 50, they finally save up money to buy Bradley Barefoot a pair of shoes. And he, in fact, enjoys walking.
Bradley Barefoot legally had to change name to Sneakers.
It's like what happened when the Cookie Monster tried vegetables for the first time. Oh, these aren't so bad. Andy, I think we need to write a new radio play, man. If we ever write a new one, ladies and gentlemen, I promise Bradley Barefoot will be a character in this. Of course, I'll have to spell it differently, but...
Oh, man, absolutely.
Oh, my God. This writes itself almost.
Almost.
This must be what happened when Kevin Smith came up with the idea for Tusk. Just talking about it on a podcast. No. He was talking about it on a podcast and talked about some article he found on the internet that had something where some guy was like, hey, you can come live with me. It'll be rent free. You're good to go. The only thing you have to do is just wear this walrus suit once a month or something like that. And maybe I'll feed you the occasional sardine or so. And if you do that, you can live with me for rent free and everything's yours, So he was like, man, this sounds like a horror movie. And started coming up with a plot and was like, yeah, Walrus, yes, if you want it to happen. Walrus, no, if you don't. And obviously Walrus, yes, happened. It got made. So what I'm saying here is Bradley Barefoot, yes.
No more yeses and nos. My heart can't take it.
No, your heart can take it. Their hearts can't.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you're the one that don't give it to them, You're the one that doesn't, you don't come through. Anyway, we gotta name this thing. I can only imagine calling this Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
I was gonna say Daddy Date Night.
Either one. I think I'd rather it be called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Only to be a little bit more inconspicuous about it.
No, I got nothing. Yeah, alright. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. I can live with that.
Thanks. Now I have to edit all of that in between just to be like, yeah, Andy agreed with the first one I said.
But you don't edit anymore.
Oh, I edit that part.
That's why my name is Cumbox.
I always edit that part. Making the. Are you kidding me? If someone just sat through an entire hour and a half of our nonsense and they made it all the way to the end, only to hear us trying to name it, and they hear 30 seconds of silence because we can't remember the dumbest dick joke that we made in the episode, like, I don't want to put me through that. I doubt I want to put anyone else through that.
That's a very succinct description of that entire process.
Yeah, well, that's how it is. Anyway, so that will do it for this week's episode of the Side Splitters. Episode number 44, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? My name is Lyle.
And I'm Andy.
And we will see you next week, folks.
See you at dinner.
July 15th, watch the stream.